Mr. Al-Faleh, your most recent initiative was the move to insist that multinational companies that want to do business with the government of Saudi Arabia had to have their headquarters in the kingdom. Tell me, frankly speaking, isn't this just a little too tough?
Absolutely not. I think, on the contrary, I think we're extending our hand to our partners from the international community and making sure that the message is clear. The kingdom has always been open for business. This is very much a market economy and a government that has always been open to the private sector. But more than ever, the kingdom, and Riyadh in particular, is becoming the place to be, not only to address the tremendous opportunities that are ready to be rolled out in the implementation phase of Vision 2030 that is being accelerated in the year 2021, but also the tremendous improvement in the business conditions, as well as the livability within the kingdom and in Riyadh in particular for our international partners.
But tell me, wouldn't it have been better to try to persuade them by showing them the huge economic potential that there is in the kingdom, the biggest economy in the region, as well as the incentives and tax breaks that are on offer that you are working on, I believe? Wouldn't this have been a better way to do it rather than insisting?
Well, we're doing both. I mean, don't get me wrong, the companies who choose to have their headquarters elsewhere are still, I'm going to do as much marketing to them as I do to the ones who choose to be here. We're still inviting those who, for whatever reason, choose not to have their headquarters here, and the kingdom will welcome them. There is a lot of opportunities on a B2B basis that the government will not in any way interfere in. In fact, will facilitate for those international companies who choose not to have their headquarters here to do business in the kingdom with the private sector. I think the message is that for those contracts that the kingdom chooses to give through its procurement policy, we want to do it with companies who have their entire integrated operations here in the kingdom, from the decision making to the strategic development to managing the execution of those government procurement and government contracts. And that's our interest, and that's our right, and we want to do it with partners that are not truncated, where sort of the body is here but the brain is somewhere else, and the response time is delayed, and the optimization of decision making is impacted by that lack of presence of their management team. So I think it makes sense, and I don't see it as being tough on the companies. As I mentioned, I think it's actually good for the companies, and we're encouraging them to do the right thing, because it will ultimately, in addition to the government contracts that are the subject of your question, I think by being here, it will open a world of opportunities, not only with the government contracts, not only with the Saudi contract. For these companies to be here, they're going to see the kingdom unfolding as a hub for addressing and accessing global markets, and for sure regional markets.
Have you got in your own mind a working definition of what a regional HQ consists of? And to what region does that pertain?
Well, from the region, ideally, we see, of course, every company has the right to design its own regional, split. But from my perspective, as both a government leader now, but previously a leader within private sector enterprise, I see the Middle East and Africa and part of Western Asia as an integrated global market. And we see Riyadh as the anchor capital for that broader region. So in terms of definition, of course, we would want to see the companies having a major headquarters office with executive staff, their C-suite being here, operations in other countries reporting, support functions, whether it's training, product development, consolidation of regional operations, all taking place within their regional headquarters. So a superficial nameplate saying this is the regional headquarters will not fly.
Many of the companies that you are looking to attract already have very talented, expert workforces from amongst the international community, don't they? The whole policy of Saudiization has been to encourage Saudi employees in increasingly senior positions. What can you say to these multinational corporates? Will they be able to bring their international workforces with them, or will you force them all to hire Saudis?
You know, I come from my previous career, of course, was with Aramco, and we welcomed the participation of international staff and experts, and I worked with many of them as colleagues and learned a lot from them. And I saw firsthand how the presence of international expertise actually multiplies in creating Saudi jobs. And this is not just my thinking. I think this approach is adopted by the government and certainly acknowledged by by everybody that is in the decision-making process. We want high-quality international experts to choose Saudi Arabia to be their home, not only their workplace. And we're opening up the kingdom, as I mentioned earlier, and creating the environment for expatriate staff, not only to choose to work here, but actually to enjoy living here and to even retire after their employment obligations are fulfilled. We have a premium residency program that is being revised and upgraded just for this purpose. We want the kingdom to be the destination of talent from around the world, and we expect that these companies will bring their management, their leadership that are currently leading these regional operations with them. They will be welcome. Saudi talent is very competitive. I can tell you that from first-hand experience. We believe that they will be one of the reasons these companies choose to come here and stay here once they assess the qualifications of human resources in the kingdom, whether it's Saudis or expats. And we think this mix of Saudis and expat, highly educated Saudi, graduated from the best universities here in the kingdom and around the world, will enrich these companies and make their operations more competitive to address the global markets. So Saudiization within the regional headquarters will be a choice. We believe it will take place, and we believe many Saudis will prosper and gain career opportunities, but it's not going to be forced upon the companies who choose to move here.
Okay, that's interesting. It will be a choice rather than a forced measure.
Correct.
Saudi Arabia has had lots of changes of regulation recently, hasn't it? Well, how can you assure companies that sign up to have their their regional headquarters in Saudi Arabia by 2024, how can you assure them that the regulations won't be changed again once they're there?
Well, of course, we want them to come and help us change the regulations, to the better. I think every regulation that has taken place in the last 5 years has been to rebalance the economy, to improve conditions for the population as well as for the private sector. If you look, Frank, for example, in our ranking and ease of doing business World Bank report in 2019, we jumped 30 places. and that's not the end. We're just starting. So these regulations, this removal and speeding up of bureaucratic processes that have built up over decades is a process that will take time. We're committed to sharing our regulatory reform process with the private sector. If you come today, you will see tens of regulations on display and the various digital platforms for the private sector and for investors to see before they're taken back into the center of government for consideration to be enacted. So the private sector is part of this journey. We advise, of course, companies that will bring their regional headquarters to have their regulatory experts with them. And this is one of the advantages that we will reap by having them here, is that they will be partners with us in calibrating our regulations. One thing we want to do is give visibility going forward into what regulatory changes and upgrades are coming. But I assure you, the intent, the directive from the top to me and my colleagues in the government is to improve regulations for the private sector. This is the direction. Do we get it 100% right every time? Maybe not. And if we don't get it right the first time, we apologize. We'll take a second shot at it, but we want to do it in consultation with our partners, including, or probably most importantly, international companies who have seen best practices around the world to be here with us on the same table and the same workshops as we debate how to optimize our regulatory framework.